What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Under the Hood. Today, we have Craig Baker in the building, head of the Boys and Girls Club of Stamford. As usual, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Dominic Francello, over here, the man with over 40 years in the automotive business. And today, we want to discuss a very important topic, and that is the Boys and Girls Club of Stamford. Craig, thanks for being on the show, man. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, and always appreciate the relationship all year. Obviously, you all have been great friends of the Boys and Girls Club of Stamford, and then I always think of you guys this time of year too because you're super supportive of our families and some of our families that are dealing with a lot of layers of stress. So happy to be here. Love you guys and appreciate all you do.
No, appreciate you, and that's one of the things we're going to get to is the relationship between us and the Boys and Girls Club. To start out, let's really give people some context here. I know a lot of people are familiar with the Boys and Girls Club, but I don't know if they're really familiar. So why don't you go ahead and break down for everyone watching and listening, what is the mission of the Boys and Girls Club?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I always start here. We get almost 600 kids every day after school, and then in the summertime, which is a big number, and that's kindergarten through 12th grade. And really, what we're doing is we're providing a safe, a supportive place for young people after school, so their parents and caregivers can work. But more than that, we also want to make sure we're building some tangible skills, which I think we can talk about later. And then, probably most importantly, we're providing access to opportunities to young people across a wide range there. But that's what we're doing. We're getting a lot of young people access to opportunities.
That's beautifully said. I think we're definitely going to have a lot to touch upon. And then the next thing I wanted to ask you is, how did you get involved with the Boys and Girls Club personally? What's your personal story and connection to all of this?
I guess I think of a couple of things. I was an athlete growing up and played team sports. And I can think of a handful of coaches and mentors that had a huge impact on me. So I never underestimate what what one positive adult role model can do for a young person. And then, I'm a teacher by trade. And I actually worked for another great nonprofit in town called Domus, who worked with disconnected and disengaged teenagers. And those young people were kicked out of schools oftentimes, and some of our programs were in secure juvenile detention facilities. So I really thought, what if we could get upstream and work with young people and surround them with positive supports and pro-social activities so that they don't end up in difficult situations later in life. So I think, like most human beings, I look for a place where an organization has a mission that fits my purpose, and that's exactly what the Boys and Girls Club of Stamford is to me.
No, it's funny when you mentioned. I totally get it now. The whole teaching. I feel like I'm surrounded by teachers because Dom was also on the path to become a teacher. He still teaches me on a regular basis, and we'll definitely
That's good. That's a
we'll
good
go
thing.
about that. But yeah, it's just funny. I'm like, oh, two teachers right here. So nothing's really changed. What makes Stanford unique? What's the difference between Stanford and, let's just say, like the closest Boys and Girls? I think we were talking earlier, Greenwich or Bridgeport. What makes you guys unique?
Yeah, I think there's some things that are in common. When I think of what maybe we do a little bit differently is, we have a pretty big teen population. So we have over 200 teen members. These are high school kids who are coming on a daily basis. I think, frankly, we are a high-need city surrounded by a lot of wealthy towns. As an organization, it goes back to that thing I'll probably say it a billion times. It's like, how can we get the same access to opportunities for the young people here in the city of Stamford that they would get if they lived in the surrounding town? So I think that's sort of what maybe makes us a little unique.
Yeah, and what are some of like the most impactful like programs that you guys have going on right now? I know you guys just went through a big remodel and got the new teen center like we were talking about. You want to talk about some of just the programs you guys have that are just kind of unique to you?
Yeah, there's so many that are so important. I want to maybe highlight a couple.
Yeah.
One thing we do for young people is we get them in the pool. And when you think about the importance of water safety and making
Absolutely.
sure that young people feel safe in the water, our swimming program is really important. I think to what we do and what we provide to the families we serve. One of the things that we're really excited about right now is our growing culinary program. And this really spans kindergartners, the littlest ones, all the way up to high school kids. And for the younger kids, it's about building good habits and understanding what nutritional food is, all the way up to actual real workforce development skills for high school kids. Because you know how many restaurants there are in the city of Stamford, and it gives them an opportunity to be employable during high school or instead of college or while they're going to college. So the culinary program is something we're really excited about.
And it's funny. All these programs, they don't just come from nowhere. It takes an army of people. It takes donations. It takes partnerships. Funding is really a big problem in this area, and that's why I kind of want to talk about. So, because I don't even know the story, Dom. How did you first get involved with the Boys and Girls Club? If the year you remember what year it is, because we've been doing it a lot, and just kind of talk about your journey into the Boys and Girls Club and being a partner with them.
So I bought Stanford Motors, which is now Stanford Ford, back in 2009. And prior to that, the family that had it really wasn't involved in the community. So one of the most important things for me was getting involved with worthwhile charity places that we could actually give back to the community. And for me, kids are most important. The youth of today is the future of tomorrow. And, Craig kind of touched on it, but people think because we're in Fairfield County that it's such a, county that's affluent that there's not a need. And, you're shocked to see how many people don't have. And, so got in touch with the Boys and Girls Club back then and wanted to get involved in a number of ways. We started with trying to be Santa Claus to, a number of families, 5 to 10 families that the Boys and Girls Club chose that were really in need. And what we did was my daughters, who were, well, back then, we're talking about they were probably, just turning teenagers. And I thought it was really important that they understand that what they have, everybody doesn't. So we would get their lists and go shopping and become Santa Claus to these families. And it's just, it warms and touches your heart when you see that you're making a difference. Even the little things that you're doing, it just, it's something that really, really is rewarding.
Yeah, no, super important, and excuse me. I've been super lucky to be a part of that, everything that we do for these kids, and just seeing their faces light up. These kids who would really have nothing for Christmas and the holidays and everything else is just so amazing, and that really brings me to what are some of the biggest challenges that you think these kids are facing right now in Stanford, and how do the Boys and Girls Club really step in to kind of mitigate the distance?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of challenges out there, and I think one of them, is the rising cost of living, and it's difficult to live around here, I think at that point around, you call it a small thing. It's really not a small thing. What you guys do and others, but you in particular, in that instance, is, I think of. You're providing tangible gifts, on Christmas for young people. But think about what that does for a parent to see joy in the face of their young people, removing layers of stress for them because they're working so hard in so many cases. People in this area are deciding, which bill to pay late, and they can't always provide for their family the way that I think we all want to. I think living in this high cost area brings a lot of chronic stress and pressure on parents, and that trickles down to young people because we all know this, especially the parents out there. If a young person is living in an environment with stress and anxiety, that really impacts them. It impacts their ability to learn. It impacts their ability to focus. So those are just a couple of examples of the real challenges that we're trying to help people navigate.
No, it definitely is becoming more and more of a factor. I feel like every year the prices keep going up, things keep getting harder and harder, and places like this are becoming more and more needed really for these families. It really is a center of refuge for a lot of people. What are the biggest challenges that you're facing right now in Stamford as far as like funding goes, anything like that? I mean, you've got to probably make decisions all the time where it's like either A or B. What do I do?
Yeah, you know what the challenge we're dealing with right this second is that we have almost 80 young people on our waiting list. And that's probably the thing that keeps me up the most at night. 80 kids and families that need us, and we're going to solve this. We're going to solve it eventually. But right now, we're unable to serve them because the demand is so high, and we're bursting at the seams from a space perspective, from a staffing perspective, and it's a funding issue. So that would be one example. I think another concrete example would be very much like the Boys and Girls Club also is probably a little bit like here in ways where you have to run a small business. So we got to keep the lights on. We have to pay the bills ourselves. So my job and my team's job is to get as high a percentage, as close to 100% of money to young people in programming as possible. We rely on the generosity of people, of corporate partners, to meet the mission of the organization.
And I'm going to pass this question to both you, and Dom, I'll let you go first. What do you think the community can do better that they're not already doing to support places like this? I mean, most people don't even know that they're having these struggles or going through. You drive past, right, every day. You're just like, oh, there's the Boys and Girls Club. You don't know what's going on behind the doors.
I would say the number one thing is awareness because, as you just said, people in Fairfield County are not aware of the need and the importance of the Boys and Girls Club and actually what it does. And the more we could get the word out in the community for awareness and people to realize that, geez, without the Boys and Girls Club, think about where a lot of the young people would be. So I think it's word of mouth. It's getting it out there social media wise, getting people to understand, getting people to even go to the Boys and Girls Club, because you'd be amazed when you talk about how many kids or teenagers you have there and how that place operates. So I really think it's about getting the community aware.
Would you agree, Craig? Would you say it's awareness is kind of half the battle, if not more, with something like this?
Definitely, I would say awareness, 100%. I mean, I can tell you so many times someone comes in for the first time and says, "Holy cow! I had no idea. I've driven by it, like you said, every day to work. I had no idea the impact you're making on young people, the joy I see on people's face, the relief on parents' face as they're coming to pick their young people up. But what I would add to awareness is like an education piece around misconceptions, because I think a lot of people in the community say, "Oh, the Boys and Girls Club of Stamford, they must be funded by Boys and Girls Club of America, or they have a ton of corporate support." And that's not the case. We're not funded by Boys and Girls Club of America. As a matter of fact, the money goes in the opposite direction. And while we do certainly have strong corporate partners, most of my job is pounding the pavement and making people understand the return on investment, support and donations make in our organization. I think it is. I think it is exactly that, awareness and making sure people are properly educated.
And what is your leadership kind of style been? You mentioned that you're very much like hitting the ground running, grinding the pavement. Is that your leadership style in general, would you say?
Well, I guess I'd like to think that if we asked people, they would say that I am supportive but demanding. I think probably, probably,
Oh, here we
probably
go.
like here, right? We
Yeah, I
want
was gonna.
we want a set of high expectations that we want people working towards, right? For the benefit of those that we serve, the customers here. For us, my customers are the families and the young people, and look, the kids come first. Like we have to make our decisions based on what's best for kids, and that's not always the best for the adults. But it's supportive and demanding. But the other thing I want to do is I want to offer clarity as a leader, and then I want to get out of the way a little bit. I don't want to run around and micromanage everybody. I want to set a vision, I'm sure, like here, and then you want to empower people to do their job so that you have a high-performing organization that benefits the people you serve. Right? Is that, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't say it any better. That's easier said than done a
Yes,
lot of
that's
times.
right.
But one of the things that I want to just take a step back is people think it's just about donations and money. You know, you don't have to donate and you don't have to have the money, but you have time. There is nothing bigger than giving some of your time, volunteering, mentoring a young adult. So, it's not just about, hey, I really don't have the money to donate. Well, do you have time?
Great point. And, I think of the example you gave with your kids when they were high school students. I mean, there's so many ways that you can do that. I mean, if people have high school kids that are looking to do volunteer work, there's that opportunity for anybody to come and do volunteer work. We have we have almost 600 kids that need homework. You know how challenging that is around your own kitchen table with just, your own kids. Like we need a ton of volunteer help, thought partnership, absolutely, and couldn't agree with you more.
So if you're going to, let's say you're watching this right now and you say, I want to get involved, what is the best way to go about doing that? Is it going to the website? Is it coming there in person? What's usually the process if you want to get involved with the Boys and Girls?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of depends who you are. We love visitors and we love to show people around. So anybody's always more than welcome to come in, like literally just walk in. We're at 347 Stillwater Avenue, adjacent to Leone Park. We also have our other kindergarten through third graders at the Yearwood Center that most people know is a historic landmark in the west side of Stamford. So come by in person, or absolutely check out our website. It does a good job of laying out the variety of programs that we're offering young people, what our philosophy is. And then social media. You can follow us on our Instagram account, our Facebook account, and feel like you'll get a good sense of what's going on there.
And we'll definitely put all the links and everything. So we'll give you guys all the resources. I think I really want to ask you really about youth development and what you want people to understand coming out of this show with how important that is in our society in general, not just Stanford, but just in general with the youth.
Yeah, I think about this all the time. I have 3 teenagers right now at this point in my life, and I think about like the end user experience from their perspective. And we talked about this idea of joy. When you think of the average young person waking up in the morning, like how often do they get an opportunity to experience joy on a daily basis? And I'm not saying this as a judgment because I'm sure it's true in my household, but maybe the first time a young person wakes up, they woke up late and they have a negative interaction with a caregiver. And then they get to school late and the teacher maybe yells at them for not being on time, and maybe they're struggling with homework. So how many times have they had a negative interaction, and like what does that say about how they're experiencing the world? And you guys know this, but with this advent of social media and all of the ways that they are being pressured to think about who they should be or how they should be, they don't get a chance to just breathe. And I think that's what we want to do in our spaces. Part of what we're proud of is that we believe that mental health is as important as physical health. We partner with organizations to make sure that we have counselors on site because we all go through chronically stressful situations in our lives. We all need people to help us think through challenges. It's I guess in a sentence, like, young people are so resilient, and they just deserve to be recognized for that so much more than they are. And I'm so lucky to be able to, on a day-to-day basis, have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and Dom's a huge advocate for mental health awareness and just young people in general, and mentoring and everything else. He cares a lot about that. So Dom, same thing. How important do you think it is from a young age to have that support? And you always talk about joy. That's what Just Let It With Me talks about. You talk about having joy a lot, and even the pin you're wearing, I believe. Like, that is just you in a nutshell. So, how important do you think it is?
There's nothing more important. I mean, think about it. If you have in your mind a negative outlook, you're going to have negative outcome. And, you could be going through a tough time, and the smallest little thing of someone, talking to you, letting you get it out and help you to talk through it, and positive outcomes, result in that. And I just think that it's completely lacking today because we're so busy with the day-to-day, and we don't take the time that's needed to say, hey, this person's struggling, instead of, hey, you're already late, get in the car, we got to get to school. Yeah. And they get to school late, and the teacher, so that young person doesn't have a chance.
No.
So development and putting the time in, it just has an effect that's paid back tenfold, 100-fold, that person has a much better chance of having a better day or a positive experience than the negative one they started with.
I couldn't agree more. Everything is so fast today, and it goes by quickly, and people don't realize it until it's well in the rearview mirror. What does the next 5 to 10 years look like, Boys and Girls Club? What's the vision for moving forward?
All right, we have to be serving more kids. So if we have 600 a day now, 5 years from now we have to be serving 1,200 a day. We need more buildings. I mean, we have to have a third building that is running programs for that amount of young people. We need to have the most quality, academic support and workforce development programming in the after-school space, so that we're really being part of the solution to the Stamford community. Like, I don't want to just be an after-school program. I want to be part of the real solution to what moves this community forward. So not only allowing, parents and caregivers the opportunity to work and not worry about their young people, but what are we doing with their young people that are also going to give back to the community, continue to raise this community up. That's the vision, to be, just a core service provider to the city of Stamford in so many different ways.
See, now I know why this works so well, because there's so many things that overlap. Although it is a completely different business, the values remain very much the same. So now I get to ask you probably the most fun question, and then I'll let Dom ask a question after this. If you had unlimited resources, you woke up tomorrow, money's not an object, you could do anything with the Boys and Girls Club, what would you do? What would you implement? What would be the first thing?
Well, yeah, no, I appreciate that question, and it's an exciting one. And I'll have to admit that when you ask me my vision for the next 5 to 10 years, I also made the assumption that resources were unlimited there, right or wrong. But that's kind of my job, is to make sure that we're bringing the necessary resources. But look, we need more physical space for our young people to be. We need our spaces to catch up from a technology standpoint. Like I said, we want to grow our workforce development offerings so that the young people that you know have sort of the stamp of approval from Boys and Girls Club of Stamford, you all would be so happy to hire because you know that they're going to aggressively go after opportunities. You know they're going to be the best team player. You know that they're going to be responsive to your emails. They're going to look you in the eye. They're going to shake your hand. We want to be the organization that helps grow this community's youth.
Yeah, that is a really good point, Dom. How much do you think, like we talked about development and like hiring people here over the years, are those qualities something you look for when you're hiring people to work for you?
So the main qualities that I look for are not work skills or people skills. And the only way that the youth of today get people skills is being mentored and adults putting in time and showing them the right way. So I would tell you that it's extremely important, and unfortunately with AI now, a lot of that goes by the wayside, personalization, because there's so much social media. But in life, to me, the most important skills you can have are people skills, being able to get along with others. So I would tell you that would be it.
Sounds like we have like a future internship program we need to start with the Boys
we
and Girls
do,
Club.
We do have a couple of surprise announcements.
Yeah.
So one of them is, I was going to ask Craig, one of the things we want to do is start an internship program. So, we want to work with you. During the summer, we had 3 interns that were in their senior year of high school, and it worked out really well. So one of the things I'd like to do, right after the holidays, is start an internship program with the Boys and Girls Club, and get young girls and boys here that would want to learn people skills, would want to learn business skills, and work with that. So that's one of the things I want to get off the ground. The second is, don't ask me how this went sideways, but I think it's been changed from the CEOs changing at the Boys and Girls Club and the directors. But we have to bring back, we had both male and female. What we had was an achievement award or a scholarship. So we want to bring that back, that, Boys and Girls Club choose these individuals, one boy, one girl, to receive, a financial reward to go to college. And the third thing is something that we do every year. We used to call it Ford, but this year, actually, we have a 6-foot red sleigh. So this year, I'm going to give a visual.
Oh, here we go.
So I'll turn it this way first, and then they can see it. But it's actually going to be.
Oh wow, look at that. That is great.
That's awesome.
We'll get a good shot of that. Here, Dom.
See that good?
Over right here. What are you gonna say?
So what we do is we, starting now, collect toys for the Boys and Girls Club for you guys to give it away at your holiday party. So for everybody that sees this, the smallest thing, just stop by. The sleigh will be out in the showroom tomorrow. Fill it with goodies for these boys and girls because, as we said before, we really don't understand the number of people that don't have things and need things.
Dude, this is awesome. It was definitely a good surprise, but I like this was well done. I think a lot of exciting things happening in the future.
Yeah, and if I could just respond to that quickly.
Of course.
I don't know how to respond other than to say thank you. You talked about the sort of the values of the organization aligning. I mean, I sensed that from the very first day I met Dom, and thank you so much. Those are 3 so incredibly meaningful gestures. I can't tell you. It's been such a struggle for us to find willing partners to really, sort of put their money where their mouth is and say, like, yes, we're going to offer our space to help mentor and allow kids to be interns here. And I can promise you, you'll get our best of the best. And I know maybe there's been some changeover, but I'm not going anywhere. So to hear that,
Another thing they have in common. They're not going anywhere.
So to hear about the the opportunity for achievement-based scholarships is so awesome. I mean, I think we can agree that education is one of the great equalizers. So yeah, just thank you guys, and thank you so much for doing that.
Well, first of all, thank you. The Boys and Girls Club is an amazing organization. I strongly recommend that you stop by there, ask for Craig, tour the place, see what they do. Craig, your leadership is amazing, and these are just small things. It's the least we can do, and hopefully we could even do more. But I look forward to always working with the Boys and Girls Club and helping in any way we can.
So appreciate that.
Guys, this is awesome. Craig, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I will give you the closing word if you'd like to. If there's anything you'd like to leave us with or let people know what you have going on, how they can donate, anything you want to say in closing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I always look for, models of partnership. And what these guys are doing here, I mean, it's just such an awesome model in any of what they're offering. So again, thank you so much for doing that. We have any number of ways to get involved. Obviously, we'd love people to contribute financially, but as Dom said, there's any number of opportunities. So look, this is the community's organization. This is the Boys and Girls Club of Stamford. I feel like it's selfish. I get it. I feel like every single person in this community should have a hand in helping us support these young people. So if you're not involved yet, come on down and get involved. And thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you, Craig.
No, thank you. You guys heard it. Get involved. Do something good for the holiday spirit. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one.